impressive. So a great representative for us and a heck of a player. Chase Garbers, the quarterback. It's always great when your quarterback's viewed that way. I think that helps everything. Chase has played a ton for us, still only a junior, and has played really well. I think he's continuing to get better and better. I think Chase is still developing. He's hasn't reached his ceiling yet, and it's been fun to watch him and take on this new offense and really work to understand it and study it. And I think he's doing a great job. And he's also recognized by his teammates for what he does, in the weight room and workouts and leading our team, not just, the plays. So that's a great thing. And then on defense, Cameron Bynum, who's started basically every game since we've been here, just an incredibly steady performer. You always know what you're going to get, not only on the field, but off the field when it comes to meetings, how he's living his life off the field. He is a very mature guy, and we've been spoiled. I've said this for a couple of years now. We've been spoiled at that position with some really good players who are exceptional people, and Cam leads the way on that. He was, as you all know, going to miss and basically miss the spring and go on to the NFL, which we all supported. But when he found out we were playing, it was all him. He wanted to come back and play with his teammates. He wasn't going to sit on the sidelines this fall and watch people play. So it tells you about his competitive character, and he's a really good football player. And just thrilled to have him back, and a great example for young guys in our program. And then Coin Dang, that's a really unique story. As you guys all know, he was a junior college transfer. And to be voted captain after a limited amount of time here says a lot about him and who he is. And as you talk to him and get to know him, he's an incredibly intelligent guy, very, very mature, knows what he wants to do on the football field, knows what he wants to do academically and personally. He's a guy, a man on a mission, and it's noticed by everyone. And really excited for him on the field as well, because he's continuing to get better. He's bigger, stronger. I think Coin is still going to continue to grow for the next 3 to 4 years as a football player, because he just doesn't have maybe some of the same background. He was a basketball guy growing up, went to junior college, and I think he's still scratching the surface. So really 4 great representatives for our program.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to David Bush from Bear Insider.
Yeah, Coach, Washington obviously hasn't named their quarterback yet, but is that really going to make a difference? Are those 4 guys or 3 guys, from what you know, are they different styles? Do they present different problems, or what is the situation there?
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. A couple guys with different styles compared to the others. What we do know is they're all really talented. Whoever plays for them is going to be a very talented player, and they're going to put them in a position to do what they do best. That's what good coaches do, and they have good coaches there. So, we have to go in and execute our defense against their offense, and we got to do the same when we're on offense against their defense. And, Washington from top to bottom is going to have an excellent roster. They've recruited really well for the past 5-6 years, and they're coached real well. We know that. So whoever's out there will be a good football player, but ultimately it'll come down to our level of execution, individually and as a unit to be able to play a good football game.
And their defense, obviously that had some continuity there in the coaching. What do you look for in their defense? Do they pressure a lot? Do they what sort of style that can we anticipate?
Well, they have gotten a lot of pressure with their pass rush in the past, and they do have some blitz package stuff that they'll get into. They'll, like I said before, they're going to utilize their personnel really well. That's what good coaches do. And last year sometimes they'd play 5 and even 6 DBs at times, and so they'll utilize their best players, and they'll rush you with 3, they'll rush you with 4, they'll rush you with 5 or more based on their game plan for you. And we'll see how that goes. Again, we know that they're going to have a talented roster, as I mentioned before, and there'll be wrinkles like there is in every first game. So we'll have to be ready to adjust on the fly as needed.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, we'll go to Trace Travers from Rivals.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, you guys released a depth chart, and I know that you say to not take depth charts too seriously, but you have a guy at outside linebacker and Matt Horwitz who has worked his way into a backup spot. What has he done to show you guys that he's game ready?
Well, Matt has shown up every day and worked extremely hard. He's kind of earned his way last couple of years on scout team and then some special teams. He's behind some guys that are pretty dang good with Cam Good, Braxton Croto, Oren Patu. We also repped a couple other guys at those spots, but Matt's worked really hard to make his way here, and we appreciate him for that.
Yeah. And with, you guys have the day off today, obviously, but you have the 3 more days of build up to the UW game. What do the next 3 days of practice look like for you?
Yeah, today is off, as you know, and tomorrow will be a combination 4-day, 3 days out. So we kind of do everything based on how many days out from the game you are. So we've already had our 4th and 3rd day out practice, and now we're off today, and then we'll have a combination of a 4-3 tomorrow, and then our traditional 2 out, 1 out, and then play.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Rusty Simmons from the Chronicle.
Yeah, Coach, Dave Bush mentioned the quarterback situation at Washington. In general, when you're going into a game where maybe you don't know who the starter is going to be or how many quarterbacks an opponent's planning on using, how do you approach that with your defensive game plan?
Yeah, we, there'll be things that we carry for certain styles of quarterbacks, and we'll just have to have enough for whoever's playing. But ultimately, it's going to come down to, how we play our defense. And if they're playing a certain person, they might lean on, different types of runs or, how they use that guy. Maybe the more perimeter or maybe a quarterback run game. And the other guys maybe not as much, but, we don't know that. And we got to be ready to execute the call ultimately. So we know whoever's in there is going to be good at what they're doing. And how that plays out through the game, as I mentioned before, we just got to be ready to adjust on the run if needed.
And then I was going to ask you about Saturday protocol. Can you walk us through that? Do you guys still get to go to the hotel and bus and march to victory and some of those kind of things?
Yeah. So the players on our Friday will be here, and we'll do our normal Friday operation, and we'll meet here. And then when they go to the hotel, essentially it's to eat. They grab some to-go food and then they go to sleep. And we won't have anything at the hotel meeting wise. It's just not available to us. So when they go to the hotel, they're going to grab their dinner, and we got some people setting that up, some really good food for them, and then go to bed and then wake up, and we'll actually bring them over here on Saturday because we have a night game. So we'll bring them over to the stadium and do a little walkthrough and then send them back to the hotel, rest up, and then come over here. But really not much interaction at the hotel at all.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay. Jake Curtis from SI.
Yeah, looks like you had a haircut. Looks very impressive. How would you state your readiness to play? Are you happy with your preparation given the limited amount of preparation you had? In fact, less than some other Pac-12 teams have had.
We're excited to play. I think there reaches a point once you've practiced a certain amount that it's time to play. It's been a unique off season. We all know that, but I'm really impressed with how our coaches and players handled the past month of preparation. It was a little different, but the guys are ready to play. And, it's not perfection that we're expecting, but we know that there's going to be things that we got to adjust to and improve upon, but I know they're excited and energized to play. And that's what this is all about. So we're ready to go. We need a couple more days of practice to tune some things up, and then we'll kick it off and expect a great game versus Washington.
There's always improvement through the season, but you expect that to be even more the case this year from game 1 to 2 to 3?
Yeah, I sure hope so. I mean, that's always the goal, is that you're not the same week to week, that you're continuing to get better as a team. And some of the younger guys who are getting some repetitions are going to, improve week to week. And as a unit, we're cutting down on whatever mistakes that we're making. Maybe we start leaning on things. We find out who we are and where we're going as an offense, as a defense, because we have ideas right now, but ultimately we got to go out and play and test ourselves to really know. And that's what'll start on Saturday.
Thanks.
Okay, Jackson Moore from 24/7.
Coach, back to the two deep, obviously not concrete, but are there any position battles where you may foresee rotating players intentionally to see who might be the guy to go forward from there?
Yeah, and I think some of it's just the nature of this season and this game. I mean, you're going to see multiple people on offense at receiver, for example. You'll see multiple people there, multiple running backs, tight ends, more than 5 guys on the O-line. Defensively, we'll have some rotations going at D-line, the inside linebacker spots, outside linebacker, and DB. I mean, there's going to be more than just those 11 playing on each side of the ball. And it's going to be the ultimate team effort for a lot of reasons. So I would expect to see a lot of people play this first game and throughout the season.
Yeah, we're not used to seeing only 4 receivers on that list. Are there any of the young guys you might see make their debut on Saturday at that
A
position?
lot of them.
And then lastly for me, I believe you've got 5 true freshmen, 5 redshirt freshmen on the offense and defense combined. Just anything stand out either collectively or individually from those players in that group?
Yep. Well, offensively, those young receivers are doing a good job. The young running backs are doing a nice job. I wouldn't be surprised to see those guys, young tight end. Defensively, young defensive linemen, as you see, that are on the 2 deep there. Moe Osefa at inside linebacker, and some of the DBs, Colin Gamble, Craig Woodson, who redshirted last year, Trey Pastor. So a lot of guys, and I think there's some talented guys in there. They're inexperienced, but that's part of this process. But they're talented and hungry, and they'll be ready to compete.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go back to Jeff Ferraro with SI.
Yeah, Justin, one of the, getting back to piggybacking off of Rusty's question about sort of your routine Friday, Saturday, and at the Claremont, coaches sort of like their players to have stuff built in to keep them busy. It seems like, and I'm wondering, this is a bit of a departure from what you normally do. Do you have any concerns about whether that sort of throws off your rhythm?
No, I mean, we're not real superstitious as a program. I think we're going to find a way to get our meeting time in and our whatever walkthrough time that is needed. I'm not a big believer on, 4 hours of meetings on Fridays and 3 hours of meetings before the game. If you're doing that, it's probably just a box check for the coach, honestly. So we're going to get our meeting time and our walkthrough done on Friday. We'll have a quick walkthrough just to get them out of bed and kind of on their feet a little bit on Saturday. Get together as an offense and defense briefly, and then let them relax and get ready to play. I mean, we've had a month to meet and do all those things, and we'll keep them mentally alert, but I also don't want them banging their head against the lockers for 8 hours before the game on Saturday. You got to relax, get themselves in a good place so they can peak at the right time.
And will the coaches be staying at the Claremont Friday night?
No, players only. Players will be there.
Is that normal?
For the most part, yeah. It's usually just the players. Yeah, we have trainers and a couple people like that to be available for them. But yeah.
All right.
Okay, go back to Rusty Simmons.
Yeah, Cal put out a cool graphic here recently that showed all the tight ends that Coach Musgrave has worked with. Is there anything specific about his coaching style or maybe his system that has allowed him to be around and coach so many great tight ends?
Yep. It's one thing we talked about way back in December, January, is utilizing the tight end position. And I know from a defensive perspective, the stress it can put on you. Cal has a great tradition of tight end play. And I think just what you can do with formations in the run game, adding gaps in the run game, and then also, how really finding out what people want to do. Do they want to match you personnel wise when you put two tight ends on the field? Do they want to play you in nickel? Do they want to play you in base? And then, trying to create some mismatches there, either in the run or the pass game, depending on that. So we're still a work in progress. We got some good young players, and Colin Moore and Jake Tonjes are some veteran guys that are doing some good things for us. But the tight end will be a part of our offense moving forward, and we think this is a great place for tight ends.
That's what I was going to ask next. I know it's only 15, 18 practices here. How has that room looked, that tight end room looked through what we're kind of calling camp here?
Yep. Better and better. Marcus has done a great job with that group. And a lot of them, Colin Moore came here as a walk-on quarterback. And I don't know if you all remember the story, but Colin had some real significant injuries early in his career. And quite honestly, I tried to get Colin to take care of himself and move on, be a part of the program, but not play. I mean, this is about 3 years ago after he had suffered some serious injuries, and just a great guy, but he would not have it. I mean, he would just absolutely wouldn't take that. And he said, well, let me try tight end. I said, all right. And since then, he's just continued to work his way. And now he's, caught a touchdown in the bowl game, and he battles like crazy. He's a great leader on the team. So some different stories in there. And Jake Tonjes, walked on here from Los Gatos. And so we have some different stories, but those guys are developing, and we're going to continue to grow that room and make it a priority in recruiting as well.
Colin recently told us that he'll even watch and talk to Nico and some of the other receivers to try to get tips for route running. Is there a lot of that kind of crossover between the positions where they might be able to take something from another one? Yeah, you bet. I think anything they can take from another position, because a tight end, they're going to talk to the receivers about how to run the routes, and they're going to talk to the tackles about how to make a specific block. And that's the neat part of that position. You're kind of you do a little bit of everything, and they have to be really tuned in, especially in our offense. Yeah, you can't be they got to be smart guys, and these guys are. And it's fun to watch them develop, because again, I know from a defensive perspective, when you got a tight end or multiple tight ends doing different things, the formations that you deal with and some of the run pass matchups that you deal with. So excited about that group, and I know they're real eager to start this season off as well. Right on. Thanks, Coach.
Okay, David Bush with Bear Insider.
Coach, I know you don't like to talk about injuries, but just what is the overall health of the team? Is pretty much everybody set to go? Everybody on the depth chart, we assume, healthy and ready to go on Saturday?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Okay. And any other developments in the COVID situation? You're still in good shape there?
Yep. And they got the new, day of the game testing, as you all saw from the Pac-12 release. I believe it was yesterday that it came out, but they got some testing in place for Saturday, the game days, I should say. And if you had potential positives, and some backup PCR testing. So, those are a lot of experts that are working on those things, and I'll leave that to them, and we'll follow the rules.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Jeff Ferrato.
Coach, you got 4 new coaches on your staff, and I'm wondering how you'll arrange who's going to be on the field and who's going to be in the press box, and specifically, is Bill Musgrave a hands-on guy who wants to be on the sidelines, or will he be up in the bird's nest?
Yeah, he'll be down on the field, and he's done both. There's a lot of different ways to do that, and we've kind of had coaches that done it different ways. A lot of it's your staff makeup and who's up and who's down. So Yeah, we're all set on that. We've had a couple run throughs on who's up and who's down. So we feel good
Who's up
about
in the press box.
communication. Well, there's a number of guys, but we feel good about the communication from the press box to the field, and that's what's most important. So,
Thank
Okay, Jackson Moore.
Coach, I wanted to follow up specifically on Ethan and Stanley on the D line. Just how have they stood out to you? And just looking back, how critical was their recruitment now that they're true freshmen and playing significant roles?
it's critical. I mean, to play good defense, you got to be good up front. I think we all know that. Very rarely do you play good defense with poor defensive line play. They are talented guys. I think that jumps out when you go watch them do drills and watch them move around. You see their size, their athleticism. And, both of them have come in and practiced really hard and kind of taken to the way we do things from a practice perspective. And, Andrew Browning's a hell of a coach, and he's done a great job preparing those guys. Now they're still getting a lot better daily and weekly. And the more they play, the more reps they get, the better they're going to be. But I'm excited about those guys, and that we need them. As you know, we took in the off season when they made the announcement to cancel the season, one of our starting defensive linemen moved to Boston, and we understand why. But when things changed, they don't give the chance to come back. So we're excited about these guys and their opportunities they'll have moving forward. So,
Thank you.
Okay, guys, we'll give it about 3 more seconds. If you do have a final one, let me know in the chat. Looks like nobody has one. So